Morning all. Alright, so we have 2 games tonight in the NHL. There are 15 games tomorrow, so I will make sure that preview board is done up as soon as possible because it's a lot of games. But at any rate, we've got 2 games. They're early. Now, the plan for me today is I'm going to be going to the Abbotsford Canucks game, so that's my plan. And if I do end up going to the Abbotsford Canucks game, if nothing precludes that, then this recap will go up a little bit later tonight. So 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific start between the Philadelphia Flyers and the Buffalo Sabres. Their first meeting was, of course, just a couple of days ago. Buffalo won that matchup in Philly 5-2. Philly's going to be looking to return the favor. The third and final meeting between these teams will be April the 5th. So Couturier, who is listed as day-to-day currently, 2 goals, 6 assists for him. If he's not in the lineup, that's a huge boost for Buffalo. Couturier has been very, very good. Lawton doesn't have a goal yet, 6 assists. He is due for a goal. Atkinson, 6 goals, 3 assists, 9 points. Will the loss of Couturier affect him? We'll see. Because, lines are going to have to be changed, right? So it could affect other players. The 5-5 Buffalo Sabres, they have Cousins at 3 goals, 4 assists, 7 points. He's been good. Thompson's really heating up now. 5 goals, 4 assists, 9 points. He's almost up to a point per game. And after a slow start, that's kind of forgotten right now. Same with Tuck, who's up to a goal, 6 assists for 7 points. So Buffalo's getting things going. It feels like Philadelphia, the wheels have really fallen off, so we'll see how that goes. 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific start between New Jersey and St. Louis. New Jersey coming off of a win last night over Minnesota, and this is the first of 2 meetings. They'll meet again in New Jersey on March the 7th. So for the Sabres, they're 6-2-1, an impressive record for a team that has been imperfect thus far. Holtz, 3 goals and an assist, 4 points. He had a goal last night. He's starting to put the puck in the net. Palat just has the 3 assists so far. He is due for a goal. And Bratt, 7 goals, 11 assists, 18 points. Fantastic start to the season. And so we'll see what further he can do. He's having an even better start than he had last year. He did cool off last year, but excellent start to the year. St. Louis is 3-4-1 to start the season. Brandon Saad, 2 goals for him. Kyrou, a goal and 2 assists. And I'm going to keep putting Kyrou up there because, Two assists, 3 points, 1 goal. That's just not enough from Kyrou. And Krug, I accidentally put down a 2. The reality is there are no points, there are no goals, there's nothing. And in my head, I can picture UC Saros in the commercial. If you haven't seen it, no goals. So, Krug, no points for him thus far this season. That's got to change. So I'm going to keep putting Krug and Kyrou up there for the Blues because at some point they have to start getting points, right? So for St. Louis, coming off of back-to-back losses, they're going to be looking to bounce back at home tonight against a New Jersey team that's got it together. Now, into the news of the day portion of the video for all you fine people on the internet. Taylor Hall at practice today for the first time since being placed on injured reserve. So he is slowly coming back. We'll see how much longer he's going to be out, but I would think that if he tries to hurry it, the Hawks might slow him down a little bit this time. We'll see how much longer he's out. For Ranger fans, there's no update as of yet. Currently, both Fox and Chytil are listed as day-to-day officially, but they're being evaluated today. We'll have a better idea for how long they're going to be out. There's some debate about the whole Fox and Aho collision thing, and Fox stuck his leg out while Aho is trying to murder him, or whatever. Your standard online internet discussion and all of that. But with Chytil and Fox out for the Rangers, especially Fox, that's going to be a tough one for the Rangers to deal with because he really makes that team go. So we'll see by, I would think, later today how much longer they're going to be out. One question with Montreal coming off of last night's game. Juraj Slafkovsky, number 1 draft pick, of course, just a couple years ago. Right now with Montreal, he has 1 assist in 10 games. The question becomes, should he stay with the team or should they send him down? Honestly, in watching Montreal games, and I watch them as much as anybody else, I don't see the progression with Slafkovsky. So it's one thing if he's not scoring, but you're seeing progression in other areas of his game. I really haven't. I don't think it's doing him any favors to have him in Montreal right now. And it is one of those times where you've got to weigh the benefit with what you're risking. And what you're risking is that with his continued struggling just to produce, you might be hurting his confidence, his progression, and his development. So we'll see what Montreal does. But yeah, Slafkovsky, Just the 1 assist in 10 games. They're looking for more. Speaking of youngsters that teams are looking for more from, Coronado has been sent down to the AHL by the Calgary Flames. It is a classic example of how preseason hockey can make a young player look maybe a little more ready for the National Hockey League than they are. And so Coronado, not the reason that Calgary's struggling, definitely. Huberdeau, pretty much invisible. Like, I'm really surprised at just how little you notice Huberdeau out there. But they've called up Pospisil. They've sent Coronado down, and so Coronado will get a chance to find his game with the Wranglers, which is good. The Wranglers have a really good program. They're a good team. So, yeah, Coronado being sent down makes a lot of sense. Last night's game between Toronto and Boston seems to have generated a lot of discussion, so I'm wearing Leafs here. So Marchand with the trip, the can opener on Liljegren. It's a dangerous play. It should have been a penalty. It was not called on the play. And there was questions about whether or not it would be suspendable. Well, we haven't heard anything from player safety. It's not really a surprise that a can opener play that we see in most games, if you start suspending and fining for that, there can be a lot of suspensions in the NHL. And I think part of it too is just as Marchand delivering the play. So, and I heard that too on the panel of, well, it's Marchand. Well, you do take that into consideration. But the question becomes one of Toronto's heart. There's no physical response. That Marchand does that on the play, and nobody went after him. Nobody said you can't do that. There was no actual on the ice response. You could see Ryan Reeves talking to him and chirping at him from the bench. You could also see Tyler Bertuzzi laughing at whatever was being said between the two of them, which looks bad. It looks bad. But this is the thing, they added Bertuzzi, they added Domi, they added Reeves. The idea was now it's going to be tough to play against us. But when these things happen, the players have to be on the ice, because if in that instance Reeves jumps on the ice and goes after Marchand, well, he's suspended, right? And then the coach gets fined for a guy jumping off the bench. So the no physical response thing has been a question with the Leafs in the past. I've never thought it was a big deal. In this case, somebody should have said something outside of just Reeves. Liljegren's expected to miss significant time. But again, as a Canuck fan, I know for years that's been an argument with Vancouver as well. I've always said beat them on the scoreboard, but they didn't really show that either. So with Toronto, I think there's some right to question the team's response. So if they're not going to go after Marchand, and I'm fine with them not going after Marchand, but if you're not going to have that physical response, if that's not going to cause you to up your game, and in the case of guys like Bertuzzi and Domi, that's what they were brought in to do, that's a problem, right? So with Liljegren out, that's going to test their depth on the blue line, and the question of Toronto's heart is still out there. And I'm going to be interested to see what exactly Brad Treliving does here, because I don't think the Domi experiment has worked to this stage, but I don't think you can necessarily trade him either unless Chicago is interested. I've seen people on the internet suggesting, well, why not sign Phil Kessel? He's out there. You know what? Phil Kessel is a bottom six forward, would be a solid addition right now. He's not going to score you points like he did before, and he knows that. He's also not worried about the streak. Yes, the streak is still intact until the day comes that he's actually out of a lineup. The streak is still intact. So if he gets signed during the season, the streak continues. Happened with Marleau as well. But yeah, it is going to be interesting to see what Toronto does, because Toronto's in a good spot. They really are. But it does feel like there's something missing with this team. I understand people calling out Tavares in this instance. I understand people calling out guys like Matthews, Marner, Riley, and just that leadership group. This is where you need some sort of, and again, whether that on-ice response is physical or it's we're going to beat them, it's got to be something there. And it just didn't feel like it substantially changed how Toronto was playing in that game. So we'll see what happens. So for San Jose, and I do need to do a video talking about the San Jose Sharks. It's going to be like a forensics audit. But Coach David Quinn said that the first 2 goals last night by the Canucks deflated the team. My answer to that would be, so don't you call a timeout? Like, even early in a game, you can call a timeout just to settle things down, call the guys around and go, hey, we're 0-8-1. We're down 2-0. 2 goals on the first 2 shots. I understand you guys are ticked off. Maybe at that point you already put Blackwood in. You say, you know what, Kakinen, it's not your night. Blackwood, you're going in before this game gets out of control. And you talk to the players and you work on it, right? Didn't happen. They end up losing the game 10-1. Absolutely insane result, crazy score. And Nico Sturm saying that this is about as low as it's going to get. And reading that quote from him, I thought, is it though? Like this could be a long year for San Jose. And we're only 10 games in. I think it absolutely can get worse. Vancouver's a very good offensive team, but there are other teams in the league that could put a 10 spot on this team if they get deflated by a couple of early goals against. This is where when a team is in a really bad space, it can start to affect them mentally too, where it's like, oh, here we go again. And it can be frustrating when you're a fan of a team and you can see that. You can see on the bench that they're just like, all right, well, it's done. We've seen that with Calgary, over the last year or so. I know last year down the stretch, you would see where something would happen with Calgary. They'd show the bench and you could just see in their eyes, I guess we're done then. And it's really difficult to turn that around. So for San Jose, and I understand they're tanking. When they traded off Erik Karlsson, it was clear this team was being basically stripped down almost to the bone. If you're Logan Couture, who's been out with an injury, how do you lead this team when you do return from injury? If you're Tomas Hertl, do you feel like, I might be able to benefit another team? So there's a lot of questions around the Sharks right now and what's going to happen the rest of the season, other than probably a lot of losing. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.